Hi everyone, welcome to the channel ServiceNowShiv. Today we will talk about Gen AI in ServiceNow, right? So everywhere you hear Gen AI, but this will be my first video on Gen AI implementation in ServiceNow, and we will learn this through a module called Build Agent, right? Build with Build Agent, very popular. I can say that if you do not use this, you are at least 2 year behind in ServiceNow world or in general GenAI world, right? So this module will give you a feature where you can develop any custom application without writing any code, right? Literally, I'm saying that because if you see my previous videos, we learned App Engine Studio, but you must have observed that there are places where we use some scripting, be it client side, server side, and all, right? But today, we will completely focus on uh, doing everything with the help of GenAI, right? So for that, ServiceNow came with a module called ServiceNow IDE. So you'll have a feeling like you working with general IDE that we use for development of code, like maybe kind of Eclipse if you have used, or IntelliJ, this kind of IDE feeling you will be having once you interact with ServiceNow IDE. So let's go to it. Let us understand that how can we create a custom application with ServiceNow IDE, right? So once I choose ServiceNow IDE, I got navigated into this page, right? So this page is very kind of user friendly, and it is self-explanatory, right? It is like telling you what it meant for. So if you see the left side, you will have a feeling like you are working with some IDE. Not you don't see the code yet, but experience-wise, you must observe that this is something that you see in the IDE like Explorer and this source controlling and all those. We'll talk about this. And the right side, you see the panel for interacting with the build agent, right? So we are doing building the application with build agent. Here we will put our transit prompt, and then you will see that how we uh, get the app developed without writing code ourselves. All right. So first thing we need to do is we need to either create a workspace, or there is already by I think out of the box one workspace available. So since we are just learning, so let us choose the same workspace. Uh, there we will create the custom application. So if you see, left side is loaded with few folders. Right side we will write the prompt what we want for, right? So with the think if you interacted with ChatGPT, or if you have interacted with the Perplexity or any kind of agentic tool, you must have seen this kind of interface where you put some prompt, you choose the LLM type, and that prompt responds with the answer, right? And it also has thinking enabled, so it thinks itself and solve the use case that you are looking for. The uniqueness in ServiceNow is it is not complete generic, right? It is in ServiceNow context. So it is trained on completely ServiceNow data. It sits within ServiceNow. So it has a context of all the table, all the schema of ServiceNow. And that is why very less chances of doing any error. And even though if something got uh, errored out, right, you have a chance to rectify it using the agent itself. So very helpful. And you are using the GenAI in ServiceNow for ServiceNow use cases, right? So let us write a simple prompt. I just brought it from this demo only, like create a new ServiceNow application from scratch for employee onboarding. Again, I repeat, this is not something that is fixed. You can try with any kind of transit. But yeah, since we are trying to create something from scratch, so just mirroring like create a new ServiceNow application from scratch for employee onboarding, and let us see how it responds. So we don't have option to choose anything. It is good thing is that ServiceNow giving something to work with generative AI in personal developer instance. That is very great about ServiceNow, right? We are not paying for it. It's completely free instance, and you are able to use it uh, within ServiceNow. So the LLM that it uses is Claude. So that's very good. I can say the response is very high rated, and we just trying to hit this. Let us see what happens. So once you hit it, it went into ServiceNow, and again, it's a normal flow that prompt will be understood by uh, LLM. It responds and that is thinking enabled, so it understand that what need to be done. If you see that it is telling you, I'll create a brand new software application for employee onboarding from scratch. This will set up. So this is a kind of a right, and it asking you the it is asking for your input, right? Do you really want? So with this thing, you should say approve or reject. If you reject it, your interaction with GenAI is over here. But I'll improve so that it will continue. And now the actual work starts, right? So this is a kind of a log where you see all the thing that's happening. In the left panel is the magic, right? You see all the code coming here, and that's where you get the experience like you are writing some code and the things happening in the IDE, right? Very, very surprising, very useful, and you see all the thing that happens not only here, but as it goes. I think once something some meaningful thing gets created, you will see that uh, also in the panel, right? So that we are waiting for. However, if you see the left side, it did create one SRC folder. So SRC is generally meant for the sorry SRC. It's meant for the source. So all the thing that comes and sit within the SRC folder. And if you see that the extension that they use is .ts. So how they use it is the internal syncing is there for every particular record or schema. Proper sync happens in between the code and the UI. So if you see that generated, okay. So if I go to SRC now, if you see something came here like application got created, right? So if you expand the fluent generated, so there is some uh, key got created for the application, of course, and now it will try to create the table, to try to create the record into the table. And as I think you must have seen in previous sessions, there are some part in App Engine Studio. If you go to the App Engine Studio, we have certain module in it, right? So you must have seen that we did create one application for lead management, and there I will show you that what all section we have in AES. And if you observe, the similar thing will start happening here. So it did create a directory called imply onboarding, and now you see the folder called tables. So that what I was looking for. So it did create one table called imply onboarding. And this TS, if you go through, you will be amazed by seeing that this is the complete code that they are using to create one table in ServiceNow, right? Table, what we need to have a schema like a name, level, these are the column inside the table, right? So employee name of what type, what is the length, employee ID, and that is completely in sync. So whatever you see here, the same thing you can observe in the UI as well. And this is not something that you can't interact with, right? You have full flexibility to interact and change the thing here. And whatever, if you understand the code, because it is very user friendly, or I can say self explanatory code. So if you change something here, the same thing will be reflected in the UI, and it's both way around. If you change something in UI, the code will be also getting changed. So if you see the table, it is completely did create with all the if you see like all the table like so if you see the one department is of type choice, and choice also has different value, right? The label and the sequence, like what is the order of showing the choice, everything it created along with none. uh, so if you go through, you'll understand that each uh, and everything taken care and shown in the TS file where it gets synced with the ServiceNow UI. And now, if you see the roles, it did add one role as well. So onboarding manager. If you go through my previous video, you must have observed that we also did create some role to manage our application, right? So nothing, no need to touch any UI or uh, any I mean say component of AES, right? Because if you see our previous app, that is leave management system, you must have seen that we have component like data, that was talking about the table and all. We had experience where we create the record producer item or all, and then we had something called flow, and even in the uh, data side we had something called ACLs and all those we did create. It took at least 5, 6 sessions for us to get one app working. Now you are not doing anything, right? It is simply you see it happening. And now everything got created, business rules. So even BR it created, right? Let us see what the BR it created. It is BR when means before insert update, table name it given you, the order, right? And even it given you like what it will do, right? So the JS part is here, calculate onboarding process. So this JS file, if you go, it is under the server onboardings. If you go inside that, you will have one JS file onboarding progress, right? So this is where the all logic there, right? So I mean it is very good if you know the code, and if you want to deep dive, go into the logic part, it's good. But even though, so think about the business user, think about the person who does not need to go into the code, can simply come, write the prompt with the requirement, and get their app working. So it is waiting for my input now, the deploy part, right? So everything is done. However, the deploy part is not yet done. So if I approve it now, it goes and deploy the app into the completely in the system, right? So after that, you must have. So if you see business rules table, and you have third thing, I mean roles. Also, it did create certain roles into the certain record into table. So we have a table for employee onboarding. However, they also did create some data into the table. We'll see it that also in few minutes, that how it able to create the data, and everything that's available, and it get working. So if you see that now the thing is finished, agent has done the task, the all the thing create directory diagnostic, then it did create the read the file, all the thing build deploy. Now it also kind of do internal testing that everything is set up and in working mode. Now if you see that we have built core feature for, and it explains you each and everything what it did, right? So if you see that table, the completely columns like imply details for name, ID, email, department. So these are the field that they did create. So if you go to the imply table, you must see that it has something called name, uh, that is the employee name, and then employee ID. We have something called email, right? Manager, department, and all those. So positions, everything did create, right? And now after that, it also showed that okay, onboarding tasks. So they have something. We'll see, go through all the manager assignment. So they also have some way to assign the manager. Business management also, right? So how the employee onboarding will happen. So it will be not started in a start once the form is submitted, then goes for in progress, then completed. We need to go through multiple sessions to understand each and everything by us, right? And then automated progress calculation. So this is a business rule that they added, which does the calculation automatically. We also did create some sample test data in the table, then added the role based security, all those. So there is something role for HR personnel, manager, and the admin, right? Application. This is the information about the application, and now the application is now live. So you can simply click on this link, and it goes and open the application in the new tab. Let us see how the list looks like. It did create. So we'll give a few seconds for this to load. You can create new onboarding record for incoming employees, all the thing they given you all the information, and that's not all. You have a full information now, and everything you can interact and you can change it. So just let us see that how this looks like. Very good. it did added some sample data into application. But what we are interested in, we want to see how does this reflect in AES, right? So we have App Engine Studio, and we have seen that we did create one application manually for leave management system. Similarly, how does it come in employee onboarding and what all component it did create? So if I go back to come onto AES homepage, it already added one application called employee onboarding ONB. And if you see that, awesome. They did create one data for employee onboarding, and that's the table we're talking about. If I preview the table, it will show me the table. Okay, this is the same that I already opened. Now, it did not add any experience. Very interesting. Generally, what we need is we need to have either a catalog item or a record producer accept the input and dump into the table. That part is not taken care. It did not add any logic and automation, but it did add some ACLs, it did add some business rules and all those. So very interesting. I mean, still some work to be done. However, it's at least saved my uh, kind of 3 4 hours we've heard, right? You need to spend 3 4 hours to create the table, to create the ACLs, to create some business rules, and that uh, time also you need to spend only if you have the idea about service now. If you are very new, it is maybe a 3 4 days of work, and that is being done, deployed, tested, everything with the help of a simple prompt using the build with build agent. And the feeling, you see that, okay. So now what I want to see is how does it reflect, right? So if I show you that, okay, let us go and see the record. So we have a records called sample onboarding, right? So here we are see that first implies now nowhere. It's a Sarah Johnson. Okay, implied is something. So what we'll do is we'll change this to Sarah Johnson. Let us say updated, something like that. We are changing the not. We are not changing in code. What we are changing is we are changing in the we are not changing in the table, right? The record. We are just changing in the code. If I save this, okay, this is file is saved now. So we have a record whose employee name was Sarah Johnson. Now it is Sarah Johnson updated. Let us go and see the name of the employee. If I refresh page, employee name is not changed. So there should be a sync process here. So that should happen. If you see, let me go ahead. All right. So now there should be a process for syncing. Employee name is changed. Yes. Mhm. Okay. We have to see how it goes the syncing process. But if you see now, we always have an option to sync it. Refresh exclusion. This is for not for that. So give me a second. The record part may not be. Do one thing like change the employee name so we can just we had option for syncing sync the so I've just put it sync the data. Let us see. Ideally it should not go through GenAI call, but we have to uh, have some option for syncing here. I just want to see. Okay. Okay, so they have not understood the sync operation. Let us see. Okay, do one thing. Let's the other way around, right? So Sarah Johnson's 1 2 3. Let us save it. Okay. So if you see that it is updated in the table, and now see here, I was talking about that. So when I did some change in the UI, get the option to sync it. So if I sync it here, it should able to uh, sync it. So that's a option for getting it done in the gateway, like we can put in search control. But once we sync it, I think just wait for a few seconds, and then you should be able to see the updated value that we have in UI that we did manually should also be coming into TS. So it has to be synced. If I open now, Sarah Johnson updated. This should be synced. Okay, let us change employee name Johnson to. Let's try this. I mean, we are giving through the prompt, so let us see if it is synced happened or not. Okay, it is doing that sample onboarding now.ts. It is, yeah, it is able to do that updated name, and then it edited the file. You see that file got edited, and now it has to validate the change. So okay, so this is done. And it has to deploy the change as well. So that's the process. Once it is done in here, it has to build and deploy. So that part was missing. It will be in sync, but it has to be built and applied. Simple code process, right? Once you do some change in code, it has to be built. So wait for a few seconds, it is done. And once deploy is completed, you will see that this change, what we have done here, will be changed in the UI as well. So if I approve it, deploy process, maybe a few seconds, will refresh the record in UI, that will be done. So that's the process. We have a lot of things to do here. We need to see how can we create some other component using this, right? But once this is done, what do is we'll have a second part for this session where we will see how can we work with different component, and without writing in simple line of code, it will able to solve all your need and your application will be up and running, right? So that's, so it is all done. Now if I go and refresh, I expect this has to be changed to Sarah Johnson updated name. Yes, it has done because we did change and we asked the GenAI itself to do it, build it, deploy it. Very good, right? So we able to get the application up and running. We able to update something in the code, and it will deploy, and that goes and updated the record in my table as well. So we started with very simple work where my table is uh, available, having some record. It is having the business rule created. It is having the uh, ACLs created, right? Everything is there. However, that's not all about the app. We have to have some other things. We'll keep on seeing that how build agent is helping us. So build agent is a game changer for ServiceNow. ServiceNow is using the GenAI. The great thing is that it is giving GenAI for you to use within ServiceNow for free in personal developer instance. That's really great. Hope you like the session and you will start doing something on your own. I'll create part two for this. For now, if you like it and if you want me to create similar videos in all ServiceNow areas, please like and subscribe for me to encourage and create similar videos. Thank you all. That's all for today.